You're entering the championship rounds. They say a body in motion stays in motion. For Cain Velasquez, that could be not any truer, as the man they call Cardio Cain gas out in the third round, line for Fabricio Werdum to become the heavyweight king. But how long will his reign last?
You are now listening to
We'll find out.
FRMMA Radio.
This is 5 Round MMA. Alongside me, my co-host Albert Cita, Guillermo Cita. This is 5 Round MMA. Before we get started, I want to thank our fine line of sponsors. First, with 5 Rounds clothing line, rocking
awesome
green,
shirt.
eco-green.
I wish we had the zoom on the camera so they can see the patch on the side. That's actually
cool
one of my. It's on the left side.
Yep.
On the sleeve. It's on the sleeve.
Bro.
Come on, bro.
Guillermo's taking the back of his shirt.
It's one of my favorite features on all the shirts is those little patches.
Yep.
It's the details that count.
Yep. Rocking green, eco-friendly cleaning products, and of course the RMA Foundation rise up against bullying. Gentlemen, how you guys doing?
Better, but I'll give you why I'm feeling better. I mean, I'm a little upset, but I mean, like, I'll tell you why I was able to negate the upsetness.
Have you caught your breath into altitude in Mexico City?
No. Let's just say it's a good thing. We don't really curse in this show because I would throw like a storm right now because I am angry.
I saw UFC 188 took place this past Saturday night, main event between Cain Velasquez and Fabricio Werdum to unify the interim and heavyweight title belts. It was 2 years absence from for Cain Velasquez with shoulder injury, knee injury, torn meniscus, sprain, MCL, all that stuff. So round one, gentlemen. UFC 188 main event. How did it play out relative to John Anik? To steal John Anik's line, relative to your expectations, Guillermo?
If you really think about it, the first round, you felt my heart was racing. The fans were pumped up.
A lot of action in the first round.
Yeah, a lot of action in the first round. But then, I don't know, like halfway through that first round, the expectations that I had for the fight quickly went down. But you know, it's a lot of credit to Werdum and a lot of blame to Cain Velasquez, but that was my expectations of the fight.
Albert, action to what happened relative to your expectations. John 10.
Obviously, nothing was to my expectations.
Yeah.
No one. There's not one fight in this card that I enjoyed, and I liked Rodriguez. But other than that, nothing played out the way I imagined it, and for some reason, even with Werdum winning, whatever, not to soil his good name, whatever. But even that was kind of anticlimactic, I thought, the way the finish was. You think of the Fedor choke.
Like a sloppy takedown from Cain.
Yeah, you just, I don't know. Even that was kind of...
Well, Grammer, you said it yourself last week. It's going to be Cain going to cruise on. Remember, if we go back and play last week, you said he had no worries at all.
Yeah, I know.
Cain got this, as you said. But, I mean, obviously that was not the case.
And that's why I got to give credit to Werdum. I mean, like, you saw a guy that's known for his cardio gas out halfway through the first round. I mean, people say in the second round, but no, it was in the first round.
Yeah.
But you got to give credit to Werdum. You're fighting at high altitude. He was there a month before. Even the card before, when he fought Mark Hunt, he was a month before that. He knew mentally, physically what to prepare for. I mean, those high altitude. I've never really played soccer there.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you from experience. In World Cup qualifiers, Bolivia played at the highest point in Bolivia for a reason, and they go on this undefeated streak at home. Yeah, once they play at Argentina, Brazil, and I think that's how Bolivia one year made the World Cup. Mexico's soccer team as well. They play every home game at DF, or they try as much as they can at Mexico City DF. That's what they call it. For a reason, they have a home field advantage there. They play at altitudes. All these other teams aren't used to this. They're not conditioned for it, and then they tire out. So, I mean, like, if you knew that coming in, why didn't Cain Velasquez prepare a little bit better at altitude? And I totally understand, you have Colorado, high points here in the United States. But I mean,
if he wants to stay in California,
Big Bear.
go to Big Bear, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Bust Oscar De La Hoya, right?
Yeah. So I think overall it just and I think the game plan was knock out Werdum in the first round. Why was he working on his strength? The whole embedded and we see behind the scenes a little bit. He was working on his strength instead of his cardio. I mean, I'm pretty sure he was working on his cardio, but it seemed like the focus was his strength, and he knew he probably couldn't last the whole 5 rounds at that altitude.
Albert, was it taken for granted that Cardio Cain? Oh, you're good. You don't need to worry about you. You're gone for 600 plus days. You're fighting at altitude. But you're Cardio Cain, the Terminator. You're all right.
I think that's exactly what played into it. I think he was like, well, Werdum doesn't have good cardio to begin with. I think that's what they figured. My cardio is awesome. Okay, I don't think that's going to be an issue. I mean, Javier Mendez even said in Embedded that he had to convince Cain to come at least 2 weeks prior to the fight. He had to convince Cain. That means Cain had in his head that he would come here during fight week and fight.
That's
so
disappointing to hear that.
That shows you alone, and it just doesn't make sense to me how you're a top-notch camp and you don't think this elevation would make some kind of effect
with an Olympic athlete at the helm.
And if you look at the other fights themselves too, it was a great evidence of that. I mean, you had Nate Marquardt verbally quit.
He's a veteran too, so he trains hard.
And he trained in Colorado, trained in AKA. He's saying he was preparing for high altitude. Verbally quit. You had the most in shape guy, and Yuri Rodriguez. It was very impressive. Throw up during his interview. I mean, like,
he looked good the whole fight, and then he pukes at the end of the interview because he was that. I mean, that's how much it had an effect on him.
Angela Hill and Tisha Torres are known to throw down.
There was no throwing down.
No throwing down. Gilbert Melendez after the first round, he had a very good first round.
I have never seen Gilbert Melendez like that. I've seen practically half his fights. I mean, I have never seen him like that ever in his career.
The preview coming in about Gilbert Melendez is that this guy goes to war. What war did we see besides maybe the 2 minutes in the first round? Then it was just kind of like feeling each other out the whole entire fight. I mean, like, that's why it was a split decision.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, I felt like it was hard to give it to either fighter. And I even told Albert during the fight, I was like, Eddie Alvarez got this because Gilbert Melendez didn't push whatsoever.
So last question before we go to the next round. Will the UFC have trouble finding fighters who want to compete in Mexico City next time around? After word spreads out, right? Like, you don't want to fight there, you don't want to train there.
No, I think that they'll still have venues there, but in the UFC best interest is get away from. I mean, unless someone is like you have Anderson Silva, fight in my hometown, stuff like that. Unless we have like a real person that trains in Mexico, DC. Yeah. Should we ever have another card right there? There's multiple good spots in Mexico that they can do, like Monterrey, that you don't have to worry about the high elevation.
Good point. Albert, what do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a huge reason when it comes to like combat sports is done in Las Vegas, and why most of the fights are indoors, which gives me the impression that the climate shouldn't be an issue. When it comes to like other sports like soccer, baseball, it's all in an open whatever, and then it's to your home court advantage, which makes sense to me if someone wants to put their team in Mexico City or whatever. But it doesn't make, in combat sports, it doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, you want to see their skills show. You don't want to see a bunch of tired
fighters, though. I mean, if you're gonna have a card that they should be being prepared a little
that's true too. But at the same time, as a promoter, who wants to promote that? True. Do you really want to take that risk and be like, oh, let's see if they're smart enough to work in that type of elevation?
Get that money symbol. Yeah. Time for round number 2. Enough altitude excuses, high altitude. Fabricio Werdum was the smartest man in the building on Saturday, right?
Yes.
He was there for a month in Mexico City training. So now he's the undisputed UFC heavyweight champion. In your guys' eyes, Guillermo, do you feel Werdum is the best heavyweight on the planet?
I still don't. I still think there's a lot of question marks. There's still a lot of matchups. I mean, you saw Junior Dos Santos beforehand call out or say, I kind of hope Werdum wins. I beat him.
He knocked him out of the UFC, right?
Exactly. So I mean, like, there's plenty of matchups. I don't think he's the most dominant. I think there's other more dominant. This type of Miocic. You have Junior Dos Santos that's still there. You have upcoming Ben Rothwell again, and then his boy.
Well, it's funny you say dominant. I mean, he did submit Cain Velasquez. He did knock out Mark Hunt. Didn't he knock out Roy Nelson as well? I mean, those are pretty dominant performances. Those are kind of performances you want as a heavyweight.
Win decision with Roy Nelson.
Oh, decision. Okay, so, but you want heavyweights to finish a fight, right? And this guy's coming out of nowhere. I mean, like.
But I'm saying not dominant because there's still more people in this division that he needs to win over to say dominant. Yeah.
I mean.
Okay, well, Albert, let me ask you this: is that knockout loss to JDS gonna beat the cloud over Verdum's head until he maybe avenges it?
No, that's the only thing he can do. The only way to I like it when they say if you have the heavyweight champion, you're the baddest man in the planet. I prefer to say that. Right now, Werdum is the baddest man in the planet, and I can say that with no like resentment or nothing. It's like, no, dude, you are the baddest man in the planet because you even altitude or not altitude, you're the one that was able to thrive in that. So you are the baddest man on the planet. Do I think he's the most dominant person in the heavyweight division? No. Do I think he can dominate most of the heavy division? No. But he is the baddest man in the planet.
He's
right
done
now.
it so far. I mean, to get to the crown. I think he's getting enough credit.
And people forget one of his losses is against Arlovsky. Arlovsky's right there about cracking into the heavyweight
yeah, it was
picture
kind of interesting.
too.
If you look at the embedded, they had the heavyweights. I did see Arlovsky in the crowd, and I did see JDS.
Yeah,
those are the two guys who are over and over Werdum.
Yeah, and those are two guys I think he has to really beat to really cement who he is as a
I think
fighter.
that if he's able to avenge those losses, I think then you can start saying that he's a dominant
Yeah.
heavyweight. But right now, I agree with Albert. I 100% agree with that. That he's the baddest man right now on the planet.
This thing that really bothers me too, it was almost like he took advantage of an opportunity rather than being the person that caused the opportunity. Does that make sense?
Oh, is he the? Was it the?
It's the whole.
Was it Edge, the extreme opportunist? Or
Yeah,
whatever the guy was?
no. And for us, and is Edge considered a top WWE superstar?
No, not in my book.
Exactly.
So, but I still want to give credit to Werdum. He won. He was smart about it. I mean, the other person smart is Jason Hendricks. I gotta throw in that. So Jason Hendricks called this victory for Werdum. So I think overall, the game plan for Werdum was there. He was intelligent with this, and that's what you got to give him credit for. So nothing taken away from Werdum. I think he's very intelligent, but we'll see how quickly Cain Velasquez can come, or JDS, or Arlovsky. If he's able to go through them again, I think now you can say he's the most dominant. And then you got to look at his age.
Yeah, well, let's just look back at Werdum. I mean, okay, so he lost to JDS, got knocked out of the UFC, went to Strikeforce, beat Bigfoot Silva, was the first man to defeat Fedor in ever. Mm-hmm. After that, but he lost to Alistair Overeem via decision. But then he comes to UFC, beats up a Roy Nelson, knocks out Mike Russo, submits Big Nog. Basically, what does he do for Travis Brown for 5 rounds? Just beat the crap out of him. And then knocks out Mark Hunt and then submits Cain Velasquez. I mean, that's a resume any heavyweight would want. I mean, honestly, that's a more impressive resume than Cain Velasquez at this moment right now.
Oh, come on. You beat Brock Lesnar at his prime, then nobody can beat him.
And then
I think Brock Lesnar would have ate Werdum.
You think of it like if Werdum would have fight Lesnar back when he was heavyweight champion, Lesnar would have completely dominated him.
You can't put your legs around those tree trunk necks. Come on, man.
And then the other thing is Junior Dos Santos. It's not Cain Velasquez's fault that he fought him 3 times. Yeah. When Junior Dos Santos was defeating every other heavyweight in this division, he was the best, and he still is the best. JDS even said it himself that it's politics that's keeping him from another title shot. So that's kind of why you hope Werdum won, because he already has a win over Werdum. Yeah. So I still think JDS is the second best heavyweight. Cain Velasquez is still the first, because I still think Werdum has to do it again at a different venue. Different venue?
Completely take the altitude out of it and all that stuff. Yes. See how it goes. Yeah, I mean, do you guys think maybe it's the whole jiu-jitsu thing that's kind of maybe not giving Werdum credit? Because jiu-jitsu heavyweight ain't as sexy as a knockout artist heavyweight, maybe?
No,
he has knockouts. Like a kickboxer or something.
He has knockouts in his repertoire, in his career. So
I don't know. I just feel like even from the mainstream media, I don't feel like Werdum's getting the respect he deserves. Like I want to see the baddest man on the planet, Fabricio Werdum, but he's really lending himself. That's not his really personality, right? He's always smiling. You see him joking around. Cain Velasquez has a serious look on his face no matter what. So maybe it's just. Maybe we're getting the era of Werdum and his lightheartedness. He is an analyst, for Fox Sports and the Spanish side. So I mean, a very good one. Yeah, we shall see how Werdum goes. Until then, it's the reign of Werdum, the undisputed heavyweight champion. Round 3 now. We stick with Fabricio Werdum now that his kind of put away Cain Velasquez in the backseat for a little bit now. Time for the new contenders to emerge. I asked you, Guillermo Cita, who is your number 1 contender in the heavyweight division?
Cain Velasquez. He deserves a rematch.
Automatic rematch?
Automatic. Even Dana White, after I saw the post fight, he said that Cain Velasquez looked good. He tired out, but he looked very good, and the ring rust had played a part to it. I think if he's healthy, I think now you got rid of that ring rust. He came back and destroyed Junior Dos Santos after his first loss to him. I think the same thing will happen again. If not Cain, then it's Junior Dos Santos. He beat Stipe Miocic, which I think is the 3rd best heavyweight. So, I know he loves his boy Arlovsky, but I think Junior Dos Santos it would be the next in line.
Before it's not Cain. Before we get the big debate, Albert, who is your number 1 contender for Werdum?
It is JDS.
JDS?
And
wow. I thought you were going to say Arlovsky. No, make your case.
I don't like that Cain Velasquez was out for so long. I really do think fighters say what you want. Yeah, their caliber of training, whatever, probably doesn't leave them. But it's just a different animal, I think, when they're inside that octagon. And maybe he really should have done a fight before this one, or and I do think
who says that when you have the belt? You never lost a belt. Who says that?
I know, but it's a tough thing. I think I just thought maybe it was too much too soon. But I do think Cain should fight Andrei Arlovski, and I think JDS should get the champion of Fabricio Werdum. One, because JDS holds one of the nastiest wins over him. I mean, that's one of the highlight reels you always see when JDS fights. That's literally one that they always show. So I think he's truly the number one contender as far as to fight this champion. I do think Mioche is actually the number one contender, to tell you the truth. But
I thought he beat Junior.
I thought he'd be him too. But I think JDS it should be the guy to contend.
Albert, you're saying Cain versus Arlovski. Gamma, you're saying either
Rematch.
Cain or JDS, right?
It should be a rematch.
So
if that rematch does not happen, then I say JDS.
So this leaves Stipe Miocic like without a dance.
Without
a part of dance for it. You were Stipe's like biggest.
Oh, I love Stipe, but Stipe on the books lost to Junior Dos Santos. Even though I cold-heartedly believe that Stipe and Miocic won that fight over JDS, so that leaves him out.
Yeah.
I mean, I still root for, but then I would leave Stipe versus Cain, Stipe versus Arlovski versus Ben Rothwell.
Big Ben Rothwell after his horrible promo.
Yeah. But you had that little mix right there, going for the heavyweight title, while JDS, if he gets named the number one contender.
Again,
but I still think it's a rematch.
You're forgetting about Todd Duffy. You need to have someone there for Todd
Duffy. You gotta get past Frank Mir first.
You know, he already has to fight Frank Mir, and then if he gets past that, I think he can shoot up to, possibly Alistair Overeem, possibly Ben Rothwell, possibly Stipe, possibly Arlovski, but Todd Duffy has to get past Frank.
So if you're JDS, do you even wait for anything else? Do you I mean, there's a long rumored Overeem matchup.
Yeah.
You say no, I want Werdum. I deserve Werdum. I'm coming off a win over Stipe Miocic. I knocked this guy. I knocked Werdum out of the UFC.
UFC Brazil. Here's what I'm gonna.
Ooh, that'll be a good one.
So it'll be Werdum versus Cain Velasquez 2, and then Alistair Overeem versus JDS for the number one contendership. There you go.
Maybe I like it. I don't think.
I think maybe reverse that. I think you're gonna do Werdum versus JDS for title, and then Overeem versus Cain for number one contender.
And then you can even throw in Ben Rothwell and Arlovski in the exact same card.
Throw in Stipe too. I like it.
All heavyweight.
Just have a heavyweight night.
I like it.
I like it too. I mean, that would
bring out the burritos.
Exciting.
It's gonna be heavyweight tonight.
The burritos in Brazil.
It wouldn't be to Dana's best interest because the pay-per-view would be almost only an hour long.
All
the knockouts.
And then throwing some flyweights in there. How about that too? But it's interesting now, like you said, after how many years of Cain Velasquez fighting those JDS versus Cain, JDS versus Cain, JDS versus Cain. Now it's now I can maybe Werdum because maybe get a couple more guys in there.
You forgot about Bigfoot.
Oh, Bigfoot too. Yeah, he's on there somewhere. But it'd be interesting to see. So we'll see who was next in line for Werdum. As of right now, we're gonna take a little break. We're gonna enter the championship rounds. We come back. Heavy hitting topics. I'm gonna talk about Kevin Gastelum and Dana White.
And I think we're already catching out of breath.
I'm out of breath too, high altitude. And also, I want to also talk about the legacy of Cain Velasquez. See if this is the biggest hit of his career or not. Can recover. So stick around, guys. Welcome back. It is time to enter the championship rounds. Round 4. Other than the heavyweight title, there was a big story that I thought was Kevin Gastelum's return to the middleweight division, 185 pounds, was kind of forced upon him by Dana White and the UFC for failure to make his desired weight of 170 to compete in the welterweight division. After a dominant performance over Nate Marquardt, which Marquardt had to verbally tap out because he was a little too tired, maybe to get tired of getting beat up by Kevin Gastelum. Post-fight press conference, Dana White was asked, "Oh, so is Gastelum out of the doghouse now? Is he not in tension?" He's like, "Nope. This kid did nothing to prove anything at 170." Guillermo Cita, is Dana White right in controlling where Kevin Velasquez?
He's 100%.
Kevin Velasquez fight. Sorry.
He's 100% right. The thing is, how are you gonna come into this fight? Because he said that he struggled making 185 to begin with. That's Dana White's word, not Kevin Gastelum.
Too many tortillas.
I don't know. Kevin Gastelum said he was fine.
But the thing is, it's gonna be a disadvantage if he comes in lighter against Nate Marquardt, who is naturally fine at 185. Yeah. And I think, but you saw his body in the fight. I was like, God, how's this guy gonna go down to 170? I mean, he needs a whole lifestyle change outside of the octagon in terms of eating. But then he makes the excuse that Mike Dolce is too expensive.
he is. That guy's pricey.
But
just as BJ Penn supposedly still owes him money.
Hey, but if I'm Kevin Gastelum, if you're gonna keep me at 185, fight me, put me against someone maybe not so high, So I can come in at 180, 175, something like that, somewhere where
One of the smaller,
a little
middleweights.
smaller. So or it's a welterweight that's gonna be moving to middleweight or something like that with a smaller body frame. That way you can come in a little bit more in shape, not worry about this big weight gap between being so low at middleweight.
But I actually, this Albert, how can Kevin Gastelum prove to Dana White that he's serious about 170 if he's not allowed to fight at 170?
I'm glad.
Coming at 180 pounds.
I'm glad he asked the good questions. Henry, another guy in this card was Henry Sakura.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce his name, even though I'm Mexican. Either way, Henry, he was having weight issues too. I don't know if you guys noticed, he came in at 124 in this weight class that he struggled to make. He came at 124. I think he did that on purpose to make a statement. Not only can I make this weight class look, boom, I went a little bit under. I think that's what Kevin Gastelum has to do. Not necessarily do like what you said, go away to like 180. But if he comes in at 184, 183, I think that shows a little statement like, look, son, not only did I make this weight limit, I did a couple more just to show you.
Or he does a weight cut now without a fight even being scheduled.
Are you going through the sexy Yama route? Is that what you're saying?
Do a weight cut now and be walking around 178, 180 in the low or the high 70s, low 80s. Then I think to me it would be proving. Oh man, if he does another like little small weight cut or training, for a fight, I think he can get down to 170.
Well, I did want to say this because my dad did point out a pretty good point yesterday because he was watching the fight with us. Is that Mexican six pack is very hard.
Yes. It's very true.
If you ever see a Mexican with the six pack, that is a very rare thing. And if you do, you look at all the Mexican athletes, you barely find one that has a six pack. And like Alex said, that tortilla is a killer, bro.
It's the curse of the tortillas. Time for round number 5. The last round. Give me all you guys got. Round number 5. The legacy of Cain Velasquez. Guillermo Cita, UFC 188. Was that the biggest disappointment of Cain's career?
I think so. I think this loss to Werdum actually tarnishes his legacy. I think he had a good reign. He doesn't have a lot of names under his belt, and just this different name that he has fought in. I think it hurts him, especially if you really look at it. Werdum wasn't known as this like big monster like Brock Lesnar or Junior Dos Santos was being, as or advertised as. Werdum was known as the underdog.
Yeah, I don't think Velasquez fans were really scared about Werdum.
Exactly,
right?
and Velasquez was favored so heavily. And I think that's what hurts him the most is that this underdog fighter beat him. So I think what Cain needs to do is get that belt back to actually improve his legacy. I think now you can't even consider him the best heavyweight of all time.
Albertino.
Look, Mike Tyson.
Legacy of Cain.
Mike Tyson lost to Buster Douglas. So what does that tell you? Exactly. Even the greatest of the great have a blemish in their loss, and sometimes they don't have the best performances. Even the great Muhammad Ali has loss under his belt. So let's keep it real. I think this is a little step back, but I think when it comes to these caliber of fighters, these championship fighters, you will see why they're supposed to be the greatest of all time. Yeah, they might get these little speed bumps, but then we see them eventually come back from it.
My thing is, though, like, an athlete this caliber shouldn't have speed bumps.
I know.
I mean, like, you look at his first loss at JDS, it turns out, like, I was hurt. My knee was completely torn up. My shoulder was completely torn up. That's why I couldn't. Well, then why'd you even fight for? And then this one, like, when you said earlier about it, he had to be drugged to Mexico to train because the high altitude, I'm good. Like, where was his camp at? Where was Javier Mendez? Where was DC? Look, oh, your boys should be protecting you. Like, no, we're cool. We'll just kick it in San Jose. We're all right. We're going to go to Denver, like we said earlier. We're going to go to Big Bear. We're going to stay exactly where we're at. Then 2 weeks before the fight, we're going to Mexico City and kick it.
I think they just didn't take into consideration the elevation. I know it's not an excuse, but
Werdum was there for a whole month. He bought a house there.
Yeah, I totally agree. But I mean, I think that played a big part into his cardio. Also, Cain has to stay active. For him to improve his legacy, he has to stay active and he has to stay winning. I think he can still remain winning. The thing is, can he stay healthy?
That's the biggest thing as a career.
Yeah, so I want to see a Cain Velasquez fight again in December. In terms of staying active this year. So hopefully I see him back in December with the rematch.
I mean, Cain Velasquez is a guy, he hasn't fought in 2 years. I mean, it's not there's only one Donald Cerrone who could fight 5 times in 1 year.
Yeah.
But
or Uriah
And,
Faber.
and I think
Or Faber,
I think heavyweight's a little bit different too. I don't think these guys
At least-
have it in them to fight 5 times in
Yeah,
a year.
but maybe 2-3 times a year is all we're asking for.
what from June of this year to June 2016, he needs to fight this 4 times, doesn't he?
No, but maybe two
I-
times.
2 times, 3 times?
I'll be happy with 3,
3.
but trust me, 2 times is enough.
I mean, because that's just
Because
like,
that's still staying active. I think
Yeah.
if you fight early in the year and a little bit close to the middle of the year, and then you wait until the next new year, I think it's a nice little push.
I mean, look back at Werdum. He's averaging 2 fights a year, so maybe that's what it is. He fought twice in
Well, all
2014.
heavyweights average about
And
2 fights a year.
and what's
Yeah.
funny is he fought 2 times a year, but to me in my head, I always picture Werdum very active.
That's just
So
true, yeah.
that shows you that maybe 2 fights a good little standard, the minimum of what these heavyweights should be fighting, especially Cain Velasquez. But because we need to see more Cain, maybe he does need to kick it up to 3.
3? I think maybe 3. Obviously, you said December, a good time to lay out. Maybe sometime mentally recover. I mean, you saw DC. I mean, DC was kind of after his partner, training partner, after he lost to John Jones. He wanted to get back there right away. Maybe it is a quick turnaround. Maybe you said October, November. You're calling for a rematch right away.
Yes, I am.
You think it's gonna happen? I mean,
Realistically, I think so. I think he.
you think it's a different rematch?
I think he deserves it. Why not?
It's not that he doesn't deserve it. I just think because of the performance,
Yeah.
maybe he should fight somebody else.
But if you look at the
That's
first,
kind of bad present though, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, hey,
Yeah.
I had a bad performance. Joe Silva can't get a rematch.
but
Yeah.
the first part of the first round, he looked good. So I mean, I think he's still one of the top heavyweights in the division.
And we forget, we don't even know what if Werdum has a lot to say about it. I mean, if John Bone Jones can say no to a rematch with Anderson Gustafsson, which that one there was no ifs, ands, or buts, should have been a rematch. In this case, who knows what he's saying as far as being the champion now. He could be like, you know what, I really want to see that rematch again because I don't want people thinking that I'm a paper champion or whatever, and maybe we'll get it. But at the same time, he could be like, no, I beat him. Let's go on, and for sure they're going to give him
Can
JDS.
we go a podcast without you ever saying John Jones?
Man, first of all, yes, we could. Second of all, a paper champion, that's just the first thought I get.
So Albertita, before we leave, Cain Velasquez, when should he return? Who should we fight against?
I say December, and he should fight against Orlovsky.
Orlovsky?
Yes.
I like that.
December and Werdum.
Gotta stay active. Stay active. We are no longer active because this show is over. I want to apologize to all of our Mexican fans for our performance today. We were a little gassed. I've been in altitude. We'll try better next time. Until then, make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at FiveRoundMMA. Subscribe to us on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic. Like us on Facebook. Please visit FiveRoundMMA.com. And I want to give a big thank you to all of our sponsors: 5 Rounds Clothing Line, Rocking Green Eco-Friendly Cleaning Products, and of course the RMA Foundation. Rise up against bullying. Albert, what do you got?
I just want to thank our Mexican fans out there. I also want to apologize to our Mexican fans out there for
All of our fans in general.
But yeah, thanks everybody for listening.
And then just 2 quick things. Patrick Williams, congratulations on the win on the standing guillotine. We have an article with him, so we'll republish that on the website so you guys can read that. And then also, if Kevin Gaston gets off that tortilla, so will I. Ooh, yeah, the cream of the crop.
There you go, Jason.
Time to get grimy.